New York City was unforgiving in winter. Snow piled up on the sidewalks, turning into slush as people rushed past, too busy to notice the little girl huddled near a street lamp. Ava, just 10 years old, wrapped her thin arms around herself, trying to keep warm. Her clothes were too small, her shoes had holes, and her stomach ached with hunger. She had been living on the streets since her mother passed away 6 months ago. There was no one left. No family. No home. Tonight was colder than usual, and she knew she wouldn't make it through the night without finding shelter. That's when she saw it. A wallet, lying in the snow near a parked black Mercedes. Ava's small fingers trembled as she picked it up. It was heavy, stuffed with cash and credit cards. A fortune. She could buy food, new clothes, maybe even a place to sleep for a few nights. Her heart pounded as she opened it. Nathaniel Carter. She had seen that name before. On billboards. On TV. He was one of the richest men in America. Ava stared at the money. It could change everything. But deep down, she knew one thing. It wasn't hers. With a deep breath, she made a choice. She would return it. The billionaire's office. The next morning, Ava stood in front of Carter Enterprises, a towering skyscraper that seemed to touch the sky. People in suits rushed past her, barely sparing her a glance. She stepped inside, her hands clutching the wallet tightly. Almost immediately, security blocked her path. "You can't be in here," one of the guards said, eyeing her worn-out clothes. "I need to see Mr. Carter," she said firmly. "I found his wallet." The guards exchanged glances, then sighed. One of them made a call. Minutes later, a tall man with piercing blue eyes appeared. Nathaniel Carter himself. "You found my wallet?" he asked, surprised. Ava nodded and held it out. "I didn't take anything." Nathaniel flipped through it, checking the contents. Then, he looked down at her. "You're honest," he said. Ava lifted her chin. "My mom always said honesty is the most important thing." Nathaniel hesitated, then crouched down to her level. "Where's your mom now?" Ava swallowed. "She's gone." A shadow passed over his face. "And your father?" She shook her head. Nathaniel was silent for a long moment. Then, he pulled out a thick stack of money. "Here. For your honesty." Ava's heart pounded. That money could change her life. But she shook her head. "I didn't do it for money." For the first time, Nathaniel smiled. A new beginning. That night, instead of sleeping on the streets, Ava found herself in a warm bed at the Carter Foundation, a shelter for children with nowhere else to go. Nathaniel had arranged everything. "You have potential, Ava," he told her. "I want to help you." And he did. He enrolled her in school, gave her a safe place to stay, and became the mentor she never had. Years passed, and Ava worked hard. She graduated at the top of her class and earned a scholarship, sponsored by Nathaniel himself. 15 years later, Ava stood in a boardroom, looking out over the city. She was no longer a homeless girl. She was now Ava Carter, the director of the Carter Foundation. One day, as she left her office, she saw a little boy sitting on the sidewalk, shivering in the cold. She smiled, walked over, and handed him her coat. "Come with me," she said gently. It was her turn to help. One small act of honesty had changed her entire life. Sometimes, doing the right thing, even when no one is watching, leads to rewards greater than we could ever imagine.